All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Black Desert. My name is John, and today we're going to be making a quick update on one of my older videos, the best spots to grind for XP. Now, with this game being evolving and spots changing, I guess yearly or every 6 months or something, I thought I'd make an update on this because whether you're a new player or a veteran just trying to get levels on like a new character or seasonal, I thought this would be pretty interesting to check out. And as usual, recently I made a video on the best spots to grind for silver, and I'll leave a link in the description to that one if you're interested. And I thought it was pretty interesting. A lot of people really enjoyed it, so I wanted to say once again thank you guys so much for all the support on that. And how we do this, if this is your first time watching this, is we go down in AP order. So whether you're like new or you're just trying to get levels, I will try to give you some of my advice and opinions on the best spots that I can do. And these videos come out like maybe twice a year because one, I actually have to test them and compare them, and two, like spots change every so often. So with that said, before we start, I wanted to tell you guys about something that I did recently, and I partnered with Advanced because they did a collab recently with Black Desert. And if you've never heard of them, they basically do energy drinks, and usually you guys have heard of all the other ones, but I thought this one was a special one simply because they partnered with Black Desert. And so basically with this, they have an energy drink for the land of the morning, like the new classes Wusa and Megu. So if you want to read about all this, I'll leave a link in the description. And for the Megu one, and I'll show you guys what they look like so you guys can get shaker cups as well. And that's what it looks like. So before we get into that, I want to actually show you what it looks like. So if you guys do energy drinks and everything, this is what they look like. The Swallowtail Taro. I actually like this one the most because I think it tastes better. And this is the one for Megu, which is the hydration one, the lychee. And I think they're both fine. I just prefer, like, if you were to only pick one of them, I would choose this one because I think it just tastes better, to be honest. And so, with that said, they also have the two shaker cups that I just showed you, and you could get the Megu or Wusa one. I chose the Wusa one just because I like this one. It looks cooler, and the fan, and basically it's like a ice shaker, and this is what the back looks like. It's pretty heavy, and so it's pretty durable. It feels like definitely gone through shaker cups in the day, and you know how they all are like plastic and everything, and you're kind of scared to wash them. This one's like, you know, pretty durable, so I think they're pretty good. So if you're interested in checking that out, I will leave a link in the description, and once again you can check it out. This is what they look like. And yeah, usually with energy drinks, I'm just like, oh, okay. They usually all taste like powder. But this one was a special one because they did a collab with Black Desert. So I just want to let you know they're both fine. And if you were to pick one, definitely the Taro one is a lot better. So with that said, back to the video. I wanted to show you how we go about doing this. And I would say I want to start at around 140. So whether you're a beginner or not, this is a place that I grinded at Polly's Forest on my seasonal. So whether you're a first-time player or just another seasoned character, Polly's Forest is definitely a good spot for XP because you can go from like 56 all the way to 61 here, especially on seasonals. It goes really quickly. Plus, you can also grind for your Atanus Elements, which is used for the infinite potions. And I always tell people, if you are a new player, I would recommend grinding out your infinite potions or buying it. Honestly, buying it is better, but like if you want to say you made it yourself, definitely grind it on your seasonals, simply because it's going to be really awful grinding them later on when you have more AP, and you might as well just do it while you're leveling up. But nowadays that you can just buy them off the market and silver and everything, it's not as bad. But for the sake of people who enjoy like saying, oh, I got this treasure item by myself, yeah, do it early on. Polly's Forest is definitely a good one. And yeah, you guys can see or watch all my seasonal videos. I usually do polys from like 56 to 60, 61, and yeah, it's not that bad. So definitely would recommend it as a newer player. This spot is good, and especially for skill points, which are less relevant nowadays, but still pretty solid. Anything under this, I would say kind of irrelevant, because if you're like a new player, chances are you'll be questing, and then by the time you get to 56, your gear is pretty much like Tuvala. So all of these spots kind of irrelevant. If I were to say anything, back in the day, like Bashims used to be decent. Desert Naga Temple, Assassins, and Faddus used to be okay. But nowadays, if you're like first time player, just quest to 56, it'll be fine. If you're not a new player, then just go directly to Polys and easy 61. So, next thing I want to talk about, and other notable spots in my opinion, are Kadri and Gahaz Bandit's Lair. Less so much for Kadri, but like if you're down in the area, it's not terrible. You can get your all evasion and all damage reduction artifacts. Kind of rare, but it's okay. I think Gahaz Bandits is actually a pretty decent one. I remember back in the day as well, you would actually level up to like 62 here, and it's a pretty decent one. If I were to make a wild guess or a prediction in the future, I think Gahaz Bandits might be another one coming out in the future where they do the like Dekia Lantern spot, because I think this one's a pretty decent spot as well. It fell off over the years, but I also don't think it's bad. It's still pretty fast if you're grinding solo, so that's good. Next, we want to talk about, I think, Trader's Graveyard. I've only done this a few times, and by the time this one was relevant, I was kind of way past the level cap, or like the level that you would be here at. But I heard it got super buffed, and it's pretty decent now for leveling, so you can also see the tag for combat XP. And yeah, it's pretty decent. Admittedly, I don't have much experience with it, but a lot of people say it's also really good. Now I'm going through a lot of spots, because if you watch my other video for best spots to grind for silver, some spots are good for silver. Some spots are like terrible for silver, but good for XP. So you're going to have to watch both of them depending on what you actually want from all of these. And I heard that Prodi Cave was pretty decent for XP as well. The one bad thing about this is Prodi Cave is like, it's kind of out in the ocean. Where is it? Prodi Cave right here. So admittedly, the people who are going there are not beginners because they have a boat already to get there. And so, yeah, that's the only downside about this. But if you can get there by boat, it's pretty decent. So would recommend checking it out at least once in your video career. Soldier's Cemetery. This one is actually one thing I would recommend to new players going from like 50 to 56. And it's down here, down at Soldier's Cemetery. Now, this one, I would recommend this spot simply because if you are a new player, chances are you don't have a lot of inventory, you don't have a lot of weight, and you probably don't have a super fast horse. So this spot is good because it's right near Heidel, and if you have to transfer like your trash loot and everything, you can do that. Also, there's an NPC where you can just straight up sell everything at the grind spot. So it's very fast. On video, I have done this like 50 to 56 in about like 30 minutes. Admittedly, I did have some buffs going on like for XP, but I think this is a very good entry level spot as well, simply because it's right near town. You could sell things to the NPC right there. And, you know, it's just overall like pretty fast. So with that said, let's see what's next. So we are going down into Mirror Mock. This is the 190 spot. Now I know I skipped a lot of this going from 140 to like 190. Centaurs is a very good spot for silver, and so is Shuriken for silver, but they're not so good for XP, which is what we're talking about here. So Miramok is actually a very good spot for silver, or not silver, XP, simply because like the amount just base XP is very high, and you could do this in groups. So you know how when people are like, oh, can I leech XP on seasonals every time a new like token is given out? This is one of the spots you can go to. I've definitely seen people go all the way to like 66 at Miramok back in the day. Now it's Gyphon, but I mean, it's essentially the same thing. And I don't know how many people have actually tried this like recently, but you know how it has a party of 2 and 3? You know how when you're in a group, it has like the little Wi-Fi bar, and then you can see if you're in range of getting XP and loot and everything? So there would be people in different rotations in the party, and like one person leeching, like in a triangle, think of it, and you're in the center. Yeah, that's how you would leech XP, like min-max. But otherwise, even if you're just going one rotation and someone else is doing it, I think nowadays, most people are mega geared, and the spot is very solid. So definitely in the top 3 for XP, especially for newer players. Let's see. Going down into like the 200 AP area, some of these spots are kind of like, they're not the best, but they're not the worst. So I guess we'll talk about this. Forest Ronaros, XP is okay, but you're also here as well for the ancient pieces for your infinite health and mana potions. Same with Monshums. This one is for your health. This one is for mana potion. So if you're out here anyway, these spots for silver, they're okay. That's about it. And then let's see. I guess going up into 200s. And keep in mind, like I know we're going from like a huge jump of like 190 AP to 200. If you are full Pen 2 Vala, which is very easy to obtain nowadays on seasonal, chances are you're within the 230 to 240 AP without much effort. So just keep in mind, it's not that bad. So with that said, Thornwood at the 230, it's okay for XP, but if you're also here, it's for Spectre's energies for Black Star weapons as well. And aside from the super high-end spots, Thornwood is a very good spot for Spectre's energies, in my opinion. So if you're going to grind here for that, it's good. One thing I would say is ominous rings are kind of going down in price ever since they announced the 5p set effect for Deberekas and everything. So this one kind of tanked from like 280 mil to 175. That's a lot. So Thornwood, in terms of silver value, it's going down. But in terms of like XP and, you know, stuff you actually need, it's pretty solid. Khartuga Ancient Ruins at 230. This is a very good spot, in my opinion, for both silver and XP, just because it's just generally in a spot that gives a decent amount. Plus, if you're going for artifacts, this spot is, in my opinion, better than the other one. So let me give you an example. So this spot, Khartuga, basically gives you all the ones that you can go for in the game, right? Except for the Kabua's endgame one. So that's fine. It's not a big deal. But if you were going for, let's say, I don't know, Thornwood, where it just gives you specific accuracy. Let's say you're going for a specific accuracy artifact. Let's say at Thornwood, it drops once every like 3 hours or something. I don't actually know the rates. But in my opinion, the drop rate at Khartuga is so high to the point where I think if you were to grind like 3 hours, or just on average, you would be able to get the one you are looking for just by higher sample size. And like the amount of drop rate you would get on this is, in my opinion, a lot better at Khartuga. So if you're looking for any particular artifact, I think Khartuga is just the way to go, to be honest, instead of focusing down on one area which has a lower drop rate. Sometimes you may not even get one. So yeah, Khartuga, very good overall general spot for both XP, silver, and you know, just like artifact hunting as well. All right, so next, in my opinion, Sakraya Underwater. This is a 240 spot. I think this spot is pretty solid, assuming you're not at like 63 and up. Just going from like 61, 62 is a pretty decent one. It's also good for silver, simply because now that you can buy Abyssal Essences, and you could get maybe like 50 to 100 an hour, depending on your drop rate and clear speed. I think that this spot is solid for both XP and silver. Plus, tongue grads are kind of expensive. In the future, this one's kind of like out of order, but like in the future, they're going to be updating the Arethia's Limbo. And this was in the recent dev notes that they had like last week. And that this spot is going to be dropping Deboreka rings in the future, but they're gonna like revamp the entire system. So just keep an eye out on this one in the future. Next thing we have Upper Gyfin. This spot is pretty crazy for XP. The hardest spot the hardest part about this spot is finding a group of 5, like 4 plus you. So I think it's very solid. And after that, we have, let's actually look at all of these as well, just to see what they would recommend in the game. So going down by order, yeah, we talked about this. We hit all of these. Mirror Mock still in the top 3. Upper and lower of this. This is all they would recommend. I think there's a lot more, actually, in my opinion. This is what happens when you grind other spots as well. I could tell you more than what the game recommends. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to go off of this one because there are definitely better spots that I could recommend for XP in this game. They don't even recommend Underground Gyfin, which is the #1 spot. So I would say, in my true opinion, as someone who actually plays this game, this has some of them, but not all of them. So yeah, let's get that one out of here. All right, at least that was good to look at for a little bit. So where are we? We were at like 260 or 270, I guess, ish. And Mirrorwax Labyrinth, it's okay for XP. It's one of those things that you kind of really have to like. I enjoy the mechanic of this spot. So Mirrorwax Labyrinth is a unique grind spot. So think of like a cave, right? But that cave has 5 rooms in it, right? Now you get your own room, and then 4 other people get their own rooms. Every 15 minutes or so, it basically says everyone switches rooms, and you go through like a little cave thingy, right? And then after like an hour or so, everyone goes to the center and then fights the Mercedes boss. You don't have to group with anyone, but you kind of work together in a way to fight the boss, or you can do it solo. I have definitely done it solo, and I have videos of that as well, so it's not bad. And XP, it's okay, in my opinion. I am actually surprised that they don't actually recommend Bloody Monastery and Elvia Orc Camp for XP. Elvia Orc Camp, if you are trying to push like 65 or something, or level 65 that is, and you can get the AP to grind here, I think this is a very solid spot, at least 1% an hour, which is, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is a lot. So if you are within like 250 to 290-ish AP, Elvia Orc Camp is definitely a very solid spot, in my opinion, for XP, especially if you're stacking buffs like XP scrolls. Same with Bloody Monastery. I do say that Elvia Orc Camp, of all the Elvia spots in general, is probably the highest silver, most XP. So this is #1 recommendation, definitely in the top 5, in my opinion. Going down into the higher area at 290, Gyfin Underground. This spot is the #1 grind spot for XP. This is the spot that you'll see a lot of like newer players being like, oh, can I leech XP here? This is one of them. So yeah, I am wildly surprised that this game does not even recommend that for XP, because it is actually insane. So this is one thing from experience versus game recommendations that I could tell you. It does have a high AP requirement, but this spot has been tweaked like 7 times over the past few years. And yeah, it's definitely like the #1 grind spot for XP if you can get there. And if you can't, the other spots I would probably recommend are, well, none of these. For a lot of these spots at the higher end, they give like unique items like treasure items or stuff you grind for endgame or silver. Not necessarily so much for XP. But as a recap for all of this, here's what I would recommend. Let's start off at the beginning again. We're not going to use the combat XP tag that they recommended because I don't think it's wrong. They just didn't add like the ones that really matter. So just as a recap, as a beginner, Polly's Forest, 140 AP, very solid spot to get to 60 or 61 Nth. Very easy, no risk of death here, and you can go for your infinite potion pieces. If you're within the 190 area, I would recommend Mirrormock Ruins. You could stay here all the way to like 63, 65, and so on. It's a very solid spot. Next, I would recommend... where is it? Thornwood. It's just an overall good one, along with Kratuga. This is like the mid-game spots. So I think these are decent for like mid-game until you get more AP, then you move. And then... Sakraya is also a decent one. Upper Gyfin, around 250, very solid. Hardest part is getting a party together. And then in the 260, we have Mirrorwax Labyrinth, and also Bloody Monastery and Elvia Orcamp. I would recommend Orcamp over Bloody Monastery, but if you're going for like the Night Shards or whatever for your cups and everything, chances are you're going to have to be grinding all of those anyway. So with that said, after that is basically Underground Gyfin. And this is number one spot for XP. Anyone that plays this game knows I wish they would add a tag to it. But, you know, before we head out, I want to actually show you this. This Combat XP tag, I don't think it's been updated because, like, you'll just... the higher end spots have not been in here. So... they did good with Polly's Forest. Faddis is okay for up until like 58. But at that point, you might as well just stay at Polly's, to be honest. And that's my opinion. Trader's Graveyard, solid for, you know, beginners as well. Proddy Cave, decent if you can get there. Mirrormock, very high end. I'm not sure if I'd recommend all of these, but it is what it is. Upper Gyfin, solid. Mirrormax, okay. So, with that said, that's all for this video. I just want to say thank you guys once again for watching. Hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments or join the Discord as well. Happy to point all of you in the right direction. And a little bit about me is I've been playing this game for basically 8 years. You can watch my Let's Play. I have literally thousands of videos on BDO from very beginning to now. And back in the day, I didn't have these guides to help me, and I just kind of have to figure this out myself. So I've always just liked sharing my adventures with everyone and the knowledge I've made over the years. So whether you're a new player, returning player, or an endgame player, hopefully these videos help you. If you did enjoy it, drop a like on the video, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back. I do post pretty regularly, so hopefully there's something new every day for you guys to watch. And with that said, I'm heading out. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.